Why most people stay broke in their 20s and how I escaped it. Do you have any advice, Deric, for a 21-year-old who feels lost in life? Yes, I do. And it's not going to be the usual follow your passion fluff that you get from some random guru you see from the internet. It's important, but today I'm going to talk about something more practical that you can use in your day-to-day life, that you can use to guide the trajectory of the next 10 years of your career and your life. Hey, my name is Deric, and I am still in my 20s actually. I'm 28 years old and I have bootstrapped tech businesses in the past 5 years after I left my job, my short stint in venture capital after I graduated from university. I now run and bootstrap a tech business from zero, right, to almost $100,000 per month without raising a single cent in funding, all fully bootstrapped. And now I'm building in AI, I'm building in tech, I'm building in education. If I were to rewind 5 years, I was exactly just like you. I was unsure, I was grinding it out in the dark. I was hungry and I was tired of being told that my ideas wouldn't work, that I had weird ideas and that, you're doing business is not for you if you have no experience. I was tired about all this weird advices that people were giving me, but I just decided to lock it. So here's what I wish I knew when I was 21 years old and how you can skip many years of regrets. And by the end of this video, you will be walking away with a simple, brutal roadmap for how to stop wasting your time in your 20s and actually build a life you want. This isn't just going to be about cash flow. It's about living a holistic life, a life of purpose. And whether you're lost, whether you're broke, or just tired of pretending that you've got it all figured out, I hope this helps you get clarity. Well, the first thing we'll talk about is universities. University is not the default. Maybe it was 10, 20 years ago, right? Maybe it was. Maybe back in the days when nobody had a uni degree and you had one, you could stand out and you could show people that, you spent 3 years doing this degree. And it's a trap today thinking that you're supposed to do a university degree. Look, I went to a pretty good university in the UK, right? I did a degree in finance, accounting and finance. I graduated with a first class honors. I got a piece of paper, right? And still I felt behind. Why? Because while I was studying theory, people were building businesses and making real money, right? In the early days, I was just thinking, how am I going to actually put, these skills that I'm learning in uni to use? Yes, I think uni is good because it was able to help me, get some really good life experiences and memories that I made with my friends throughout uni. But none of the skills that I learned was used when it comes to building my business to like 80,000 USD per month. None of that was used. Everything that I learned, I had to learn on my own. And the truth here is, if you don't know what you want to do, don't waste 4 years in school. Because I've seen I myself fell for this trap when I was and the funniest joke is, you're expected to figure out what you want to do in life at 18 years old, right? Like right after, I think in most cultures at 18 years old, you are expected to be an adult and to kind of know what path you want to take when it comes to doing a degree or universities, right? But you only have like a few months to figure out what you want to do. And if you don't know, then don't spend 4 years and raking up debt just to go into universities. You'll be burning time, you'll be burning money, and the worst of all, you will feel productive. You think you're studying and you think you're making progress, but actually no, you're not, right? Because you're doing absolutely nothing. I've seen so many, like literally 80% of people around me, I've seen just did a degree for the sake of doing a degree. In fact, most of us are conditioned, we're programmed to do this. So if your dream is a degree, sure, right? If you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or one of those careers, sure, go for it, right? Because it's regulatorily required for you to do it. But if anything else, if your goal is to get a job and make money, no. Because we're living in a society where it's meritocratic, which means if you're able to add value to a company, that's all it takes. If you're able to help, bring this company's revenue from $1 million to $2 million, they will pay you for that increase in revenue. The question is, can you figure it out, right? Even if you have a degree, you have a piece of paper and you're not able to add value this way, you're not going to get hired. Okay, today we are incentivized to build things, to do stuff, and to get results. Start doing stuff, okay? Anything, learn to sell, learn to build, learn to code, learn to write, learn to storytell, right? Learn to add value, learn to bring outcomes to companies, to yourself. If you fail, it's okay. Repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat, right? For me, I started by actually flipping used graphical calculators in college, right? Those things where if you were to buy a new one, it was going to be 700 ringgit. So I actually went out there and I saw a big opportunity here, right? Because when I was struggling to find good calculators back then, so I actually went out there and bought all the calculators that I could find, and I set up like a little shop, an online shop that was selling used calculators, and we basically supplied secondhand used calculators to a lot of students in different universities in Malaysia. And that was how I used to make profit. We used to be making 10,000 ringgit per month back then. And that was the start to me building businesses. And this was when I was like 19 years old. When I had that experience, then I compared it to the salary that you get after studying 3 to 4 years in universities. I was like, okay, I'm able to do something of my own. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how I do it, as long as it's legal, as long as it's not hurting anyone, it's cash flow in the bank. And that's all that matters. Nobody cares if you have a degree or not, right? If you're sick, if your mom is sick, You need the cash flow to pay the bills. Nobody cares if you've got the cash flow from a degree or not, as long as you have the cash. Okay? So remember, meritocratic, add value, get people solutions and outcomes, and you will be fine. Forget that the university is the default. Forget that university is a must-have. Do something more productive about it. The next thing that for me would be to stop wasting time pretending to be the man, right? This is like trying to live like you're the man before actually being one, right? Stop chasing goals and clout and symbol statuses, like seriously stop. When you're broke, the amount of effort that you spend trying to get a hot girl or trying to get someone to like you, it's insane. Don't chase, right? You will be burning weeks texting, planning dates, pretending to be interesting, and all to chase for someone who maybe don't see the inherent value in you, right? Just for the purpose of status symbols, right? You could go and buy a very expensive car to look cool, but why don't you reinvest that money and time? For me, it's all about money and time. Everything in life, it's about money and time, money and time, money and time. If you were to invest that money instead of getting a nice car, put it in a business, an idea, you at least have a shot. You have an expected value of something on the plus side. You have a shot at making more money. You put it in an investment, you have a shot at growing your investment. But if you put 100,000 ringgit, 300,000 ringgit buying a nice car, that money is parked there. You spend money and time chasing a goal, that's it. You learn some skills in chasing a goal, and that's it. Why not spend the time building a skill that can help you build assets? You can spend 3 hours learning how to flirt with a goal. You might as well spend 3 hours learning how to make more money. Does that make sense? You can spend 3 hours learning how to look like the man, look like the cool kid. Why don't you spend 3 hours learning how to actually add value, actually put food on the table, actually grow your income and build multiple sources of income, right? Instead of buying stuff with your main income, why don't you use the main income, invest in some chickens, and the chickens will lay eggs, and you buy whatever you want to buy with those eggs. Does that make sense? So yeah, always remember to just build first. You can keep the flexing for later. Of course, if the flexing is what pushes you to be motivated, then sure, go ahead and do it. Right? I'm not judging anything, but this is just my kind of perspective on how to not stay broke in your 20s. That's just my own path that I took. So I don't invest much in ego points. I just do what I gotta do and to try and hit the kind of lifestyle that I have and hit my priorities that I have. And everything else will be reinvested into cash flow generating assets. So if something does not contribute to me growing my cash flow or contribute to me getting more time for myself, I basically don't spend time on it. The next one's gonna be a bit controversial. I think that reading success books does not make you successful. Yes, I read a lot. Okay, I've read hundreds of books. I have a whole shelf of books at home. I collect ebooks. I read. I make it a thing to read 30 minutes every single day. Right, so I read a lot, and it felt productive. It gave me ideas. But looking back, 95% of the reading that I've done is, to a certain extent, procrastination disguised as self-improvement, right? If you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki 5 times and you're still broke, it's not the book's fault, right? It's your own fault. Reading isn't the problem. It's good, right? Get good enough. The problem here is you're not taking action. Reading is like a pre-workout. Like, it's supposed to hype you up. It gives you the knowledge, it gives you the motivation. But if you never actually go to the gym and lift a dumbbell, what's the point? Instead of reading 5 business books, right, feeling productive, feeling like you're growing, right, why don't you try reading 1 and then implement it immediately, right? Build something ugly, build something small, release it to the world, get the feedback from the market, build something real and try and generate cash flow from it, right? Write that first blog post, do that first video of yours, like what I'm doing now. Build that first shitty app, like what I'm doing now, exactly what I'm doing. Action always beats planning, right? Bias for action. Put it out there and grow from there, right? Because confidence doesn't come from information. Confidence, if all you have is information, you're going to struggle a lot with imposter syndrome and never really know if what you're doing is correct or not, right? Confidence comes from stacking undeniable proof that you're good enough. If you don't know if you're good enough, put yourself out there in the market. If people pay you money for it, it basically means you're good enough. And if they do it again and again, you know you got something. You know you've got competence. You know you can bring outcomes. And that only comes from action. The next one is failing faster than everyone else. At 22 years old, I failed hard, right? I went through the entire year with no income, trying to learn how to code and starting a few shitty tech startups, all failed. I burned so much money. I blew like $50,000 in 3 months. And that failure actually taught me more than any lecture ever could. Every L that you take, every L that you take builds layers of resilience. And that resilience is going to be your edge when it comes to business and life, right? Some people study business for 5 years. I ran one and I failed. But I believe that my skills when it comes to running business will be way better than someone who studied business for 5 years. It's like comparing someone who read a book on how to swim, right? For 5 years, he watched 1,000 hours of videos on how to swim, how to do a freestyle, how to do a breaststroke. He could watch these videos for 1,000 hours, but it would never beat me just jumping to damn pool and figuring out myself for 10 hours. Trust me on that. So here's my advice. Don't be afraid of what people think. Just go out there and fail fast. The faster you fail, the faster you knock your face on the wall, the faster you learn from it. and just don't fail at failing, right? Learn from it and move on. Don't repeat the same thing. Now let's talk about people and your environment. The fastest way to kill your future is to stay surrounded with the people who are okay with mediocrity. Your best friend who always tells you to chill and hang out and not improve yourself, to just, it's okay, whatever, right? Your girlfriend who are breakfast in while you're supposed to be out going to the gym. Anybody who basically disrupts or makes you dream things smaller, who disrupts you from your routine of self-improvement, or maybe that mentor of yours who has not built anything in 10 years, right? Cut the noise. Maybe they were good for you at some point in your life, or maybe, if you're at a point where you're mature enough and you can handle your emotions well and you know exactly what you want and what you need to do, if you reach a certain level of success, then sure, go for it. But I think especially in your 20s, when you are still building the foundational layers of your career and your mindset, you got to cut off the noise. I've ended relationships, even the good ones, right? Even the ones that made me happy. I ended them. I don't end them deliberately, but I just had to lock in and focus on my things. And over time, they just kind of distance themselves from me, right? Because the dynamic that I had with them, it made me soft. It made me comfortable. It made me dream smaller, right? It made me think what I was going to do was impossible. And I didn't need that energy, especially in the early days, right? Being a man really means doing what needs to be done and not what feels good in the moment. Well, I'm not saying you got to break up with your partner. You don't need to break up with your partner, but what you got to do here is to protect your time and your mission, because your energy is your ultimate currency in your 20s and you need to spend it wisely. That's the only unfair advantage you have over someone in their 30s. And the next thing is on procrastination. We're living in an era where we get dopamine, cheap dopamine so fast, where we get spikes of dopamine from just scrolling on Instagram. You're not unmotivated. You're just undisciplined, right? People ask me, how do I stop procrastinating? And my answer is just don't put yourself in a position where you can procrastinate. Don't put yourself in a position where you have an app you can scroll for 5 hours. Just ask yourself, how can you not scroll your phone for 5 hours? Literally don't have your phone around you and you're not going to be able to scroll it for 5 hours, right? If you can scroll Instagram for 4 hours a day, but you cannot spend 30 minutes learning a skill, you don't want success, right? You don't have a time problem. You have a discipline issue. You want comfort, and no one is going to come and save you. Not me, not some guru, not your parents, not your girlfriend, not your friends. You are the only one who has some skin in the game to save yourself from your life. So until you make that decision, nothing changes. So wake up and show up and stop negotiating with your feelings. Look, I'm not better than you, okay? I'm not trying to, this video isn't about saying that I'm better than you, but it's just me trying to share what I've been through in the past 6 years of my career and what I've learned as a guy in my late 20s. I just got fed up with seeing a lot of the people that I care about around me doing a lot of things that are completely unproductive for them, and them living lives where they are unhappy about, where it's so obvious what change they could be making, right? So I stopped asking myself, what should I do? And I started asking, what can I build? If you want to go out there and make progress, don't ask for permission. Just go out there and do something and add value. Okay? So yeah, if you're 21 and you feel lost, good, because that feeling is exactly what you need to make a change in your life. If you don't feel it, then you probably wouldn't be watching this video. You wouldn't be getting it. So if you feel it, that's good. Now the next thing is to use that energy to take action. Use that energy to move, to build something, to fail, to drown a little, to course correct, and then to repeat this journey until you find something that works. Okay, so this world does not wait for you to get ready. It rewards people who move. So get moving.